Hey guys, welcome. This is another advanced tips and tricks, and this one is on the perfect or close to perfect H1. Yeah, there's going to be slight things that can be done better, but it's very, very close. And I did record this beforehand so that I could explain things afterwards, and so you could see that I could pause it and I could explain what I'm doing without me actually pausing in the game, so it wasn't quote unquote cheating with lots of pausing. I did pause at the very beginning, only because typically in a ranked game you're going to have a tad bit of pause, a tad bit of lag, and so before the game starts. And so I feel pretty accurate to have just a moment of pausing. Sometimes it's really, really short, like half a second. Sometimes it can be, longer. When you pause or when the game starts, the priority is to get two vills into the TC, um, two or three, depending on the situation, but two vills into the TC and be have the TC gather point be on another food crate if your vills cost food. Uh, and then if you have extra time, you can get your hero under a control group. You can command it a little bit, and then as soon as the game starts, I'm gonna show you how it goes. The first aspect of this will be quote unquote perfect or very close to perfect crate gathering, and it's really important to note that you can over micro this. If you select every single villager and tell them to go into the TC and into the crates, it'll actually be slower than if you just had your villagers gather naturally. And I know this is true because I've shown this to a few uh, very high APM individuals, and that they actually couldn't figure out how to create their first vill in 6 seconds, or in some cases 5 seconds. Uh, and that was solely because they were microing their vills too hard. So you do want to micro a few vills, and any vills that aren't currently gathering, you want to micro, but gathering from crates, but you don't want to over micro. And I know that sounds crazy, like but it is the case. I promise you. So we're gonna get going, and the first part of this will be the crate micro. So I put two vills into the TC and then onto a crate. I tell the hero to gather the treasure. On garrison from the TC, make sure you use hotkeys for this. It's really important. So as your ports, you have seven vills to start with. So two vills can that are uh, two vills can be off of crates pretty quickly. And the reason for that is you want five vills gathering food. Each one gathers 20 food at a time, and 5 times 20 is 100. Once your first vill is in queue, you're good to go. You want actually don't want to have too many vills on crates afterwards. Minimal vills on crates to be able to still reach your timings. So we're gonna see what I do. Oops. You're gonna see what I do from here on, and I little quick trick there is you can actually click on the other side of the hunt and then shift click attack the animal. And I'm gonna go make another advanced tips and tricks about herding. There's a lot of aspects to it, but I'm so used to pressing pause. All right. All right, so you will see that three vills go to wood. If you have less than three, you will actually have a little bit of idle TC time. I didn't have that uh, trade post being created perfectly at the right time. Like I said, there's slight improvements that can be made. I could have done this a little bit earlier, killed that hunt, but uh, yeah, I do spyglass, and then I tell him to right back to building the TP. Um, and yeah, you'll notice that all of my animals are dead right next to the TC. That is ideal. It's not always going to happen, but after the first couple at least, first one, maybe two, uh, all of them should be. I overgathered by 3 wood. That is a mistake. 3 wood is not the end of the world, but it happens. Um, I ideally it's 0. 1 is sometimes acceptable as your villagers can sometimes gather more than one resource um, every I don't know what the word is, tick, or every gathering. Sometimes they can gather 2 at a time. Missed Michael that slightly. I was just within the range, but little things like that can make a difference. I decided to go with ports here because they are a civ that um, if you do not have a perfect age 1, you will have idle TC time if you're trying to age on 14 fills. I pressed Alt real quick here to see what the HP of the opponent's hero. I saw that it was higher than mine, and so I ran away. Uh, Little things like that help a lot. Um, yeah, so I don't know if you caught it, but I did select my deck right before I got a card. And you want to try to do that every time. It's hard to do that, but it can be good to do that. Another thing that you may not have noticed is I'm going to pause actually explain this. I'm going to go back just a bit. All right, so I have 2 vills on my first hunt, on my first animal that was dead. I have 2 vills on my first 4 actually. My 5th has 3. This one has an extra one. Basically, if you have more than 2 on your first 3, your it's not exactly it changes depending on what civ it is. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 4. But essentially, your hunt will run out of food before you start aging to 2, which means your villager is going to have to go from one hunt to another hunt, and it will result in some extra idle villager seconds, which is not ideal. And yes, I have several dead hunts here. Yes, that does mean more decay, but your age 2 timing is so important that you don't want to having some decay on food is definitely worth aging up a few seconds faster. Sometimes it's even more than a few. But after you start aging to 2, I think it's fine to have several vills on each dead animal, 4 or 5, sometimes more. But yeah, it's really important to not have too many vills on your first 3 or so dead animals. It depends on which civ you're doing. I checked to see where the explorer was going there, and it was coming up to the other treasure, so I was not going to take that treasure. I'm shift clicking. Shift clicking is extremely important to maximize your eco. You can see, yes, I got some nice treasures in this game, but I had 800 food significantly faster than what I would have been able. I got 800 food significantly faster than uh, I needed to. And yes, there was a treasure. I got a significant food treasure, and there was a wood treasure early on. The priority of treasures is important. You want to focus any treasures that help you get up the buildings you are trying to get up early on. So I was needing to gather 100 wood for a house. There was a wood treasure. Perfect, get it. I passed a coin treasure early on. That would not help me in age 1. It might help me in going to age 3, but will not help me in age 1. Uh, Food treasures is what I was looking for at that point. That was the only thing that would help me help me. So, gonna keep on going here. I'm could explain this more thoroughly, but I am basically just showing the ideal uh, age 1 and what it would look like. Um, can it be optimized slightly better more? Yes. Can it be optimized a lot more? No. Correct me if I'm wrong. Feel free to add any comments or whatever you want. I can be wrong, but I think this is pretty close to ideal. And I have discussed this with multiple very good players in the game, and they have appreciated the level of detail that goes into it, like knowing exactly how many hunts you have to have the right amount of vills on, is very important. That I often see pros not doing the right amount or causing extra walking time, quote unquote, idle time with your villagers. And crate micro is actually surprisingly not as you would expect it to be really common at a high level, but not not necessarily ideal. And there's a lot of aspects that go into that. But I just want to show you this quote unquote ideal age one, and feel free to leave any comments if you have any questions or feel free to prove me wrong. I'm happy to be proven wrong. So catch you guys later.